We get it. Gift giving for your guy isn't the easiest thing in the world, especially for Valentine's Day. O sea, there's only so many stuffed animals holding a heart a guy needs. But what if you got him the perfect gift that's also a gift for you? We're talking about a pair of the OG Perfect Jean, made with a super secret special premium fabric blend that is extremely comfortable and makes his butt look good. The Perfect Jean has fits ranging from athletic to slim thick to skinny. So whether running errands with a polo for the office or paired with a solid color tee and blazer for date night, the Perfect Jean always looks and feels good. And let's face it, if your man looks good, you look great. But what's a gift without a little savings for you? Use code PEROPOD, that's PEROPOD, on your first order at theperfectjean.nyc and get 20% off. Hey, Valentine's Day is about showing love, and we think 20% off your order shows just how much we love you. So this Valentine's Day, save 20% off a pair of the Perfect Jean for your man with code PEROPOD. It's the perfect gift.
Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 7 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Is this thing recording?
Is this thing on?
now we have good mics, so
We do have good mics. We have much
So is that
better
our first improvement of 2024?
Well, siempre pa'lante.
Yes.
To quote, our friend.
Well, I think a lot of people used to say this, but I know of Celia Cruz saying it, Padrán iba a coger impulso.
Damn right.
So, well, with that said, welcome everybody to episode 282, our first episode of season 7. We are back. Pero Fridays are back, everyone.
Yes, and for those of you who are not seeing this, on video eventually, thank you for coming by after your poetry reading.
Oh. Why?
Because you've got like the horn rim glasses, the beanie, the hoodie.
Well, I am a scholar, sort of. I'm a scholar, and I
a gentleman and a scholar.
Yes, and a podcaster, and a video producer, and I fry chicken wings, and I do the law thing.
Like everyone on Instagram, you're an entrepreneur.
Well, we kind of are. Well, let's not talk about ourselves. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome. We are so happy to be back.
Yes.
It felt like forever ago that we recorded.
You know why? Specifically for us, not only forever ago that we recorded, but then also we took a break from Pim Pam Pollo as well in December.
Yeah.
So we literally went from seeing each other like 45 times a week.
Right.
To every...
Ay, sí, yo estaba más cansado de verte a ti la cara. So, no, but it feels like forever that...
It does.
That we've recorded on Fake Friday.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it feels longer than it was.
So here we are, a new year. It's an even year, so that means it's the Olympics. Well, that's what I always think. Right?
You know what? That's good. That's a good thing to think about, yes. Because I don't want to think about what the other thing is that the even year is bringing.
What is
the elections?
Oh,
so yes, let's focus on the Olympics. Let's focus on the Olympics.
So welcome everybody. We are so happy to be back. Yes. You're so happy that you're here listening to us. Yes. I can't believe we're in season 7.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
We started in 2018.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. With that said, we're in season 7, but welcome to any new listeners because we've been getting a lot of new followers on Instagram. So I'm sure some of you are now tuning in for the first time.
Come on, welcome back.
Well, no. Let's not mix our theme songs.
Welcome back.
No, because I got to give you props and credit for that fantastic, homage that we did to Perfect Strangers.
Okay, everybody. Yeah. So let's talk about that.
That's why I'm like, don't mix the theme songs.
Let's talk about that. So many of you probably saw that our season
6,
season 7 sort of promo was to redo the Perfect Strangers theme song. I think I dream in that song because I'm the one who edited this time around.
Don't be ridiculous.
And you know, it's so funny that in the video I put executive producer as you, because I was thinking of the podcast. Like, you are technically the executive producer of the podcast, but I was thinking along those lines, not along executive producer of the actual video,
which was totally you.
Yeah. So
From concept
I
to
hope you
execution.
all enjoyed the little Perfect Strangers little thing we did. It was a great homage. We love Perfect Strangers, Larry and Balky.
Based on the first 4 hours, people are loving it.
We you know, it was fun to do. That thing took over a month to shoot. It's 16. I mean, I know the logistics. It's 16 different scenes, 9 wardrobe changes. Like, it took a month to shoot.
We committed to the bit.
Yeah, because, you know, I thought, like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna go big
Let's
or go
do
home.
it. Yeah,
like, we're gonna do it scene,
Yeah.
like, frame by frame, and we were able to do it. But it took a lot of sorcery and, you know, a lot of
Darian went to Hogwarts.
It's one of those things that, like, it seems very simple. I mean, we had to get on a boat. Like, the opening scene when we're on a boat, that was actually one of the most challenging scenes, because in the intro to the real Perfect Strangers, they're on a boat, and it's like
ferry,
that was shot with a helicopter.
And the thing is that's a scene that you can't modify.
Right, that was shot with a helicopter with the, like, in the
it's gotta
Perfect
be a
Strangers
boat.
Chicago skyline.
Right.
So I'm thinking, like, shit, how do we get a boat with, like, the Miami skyline? And I'm like, well, the closest thing we could get is one of those boat tours that go out of Bayside.
Yep.
That's the best we're gonna do, because I mean, I think we know a couple of people have a boat, but, like, going out and getting the Miami shot, and then who's going to shoot it? Like,
Right.
So it's like, okay, we're in the boat,
Right.
we're on a boat, so it's like, who's going to shoot it? We need somebody else with a boat, but then they have to be elevated. Like, it was like a
Logistics,
whole logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get on this boat, and then we're going to have one of our friends who is actually
Has a background in TV production.
stay behind and record us.
Yes. I'm just going to go ahead and say thank you, Ozzy.
Yes,
Thank you so
yes.
much.
Ozzy understood my vision when I was like, okay, cameras have to pan this way and that way. Like, he knew what I was talking about, thankfully. And, you know, and then on the boat, we're talking to the captain. We're like, can we go on the bow? Like, when the boat is leaving, and he's like, no, you can't go on the bow until after we leave the marina. I'm
Like
like,
the third
and I'm
post
like,
or
I'm like,
something.
okay, but can you make it an exception? And they let us.
They did.
They made an
They're like,
exception.
fine. Just when you pass the third post, then you can do it, but not before.
Actually, you know what? No, the minute that boat, like, they untied it from the dock, we went to the front.
Oh no, but again, that's because
Yo
they,
holy tanto. I was so like, I'm like, can we go on the boat? Can we go on the boat? Please, please. I was like, we're making a tourism video about Miami. Like,
you were worse than like a 3-year-old.
yeah, I wanted my shot.
But we got the shot.
We got the shot.
We got the shot.
Como dice Hamilton, I'm not gonna.
I'm not gonna. Oh my god, I've totally.
I'm not gonna
blanked.
miss my shot.
Yes, but we'll probably learn that later on.
I
It's coming
think
to
the
ours.
funniest thing that we shot was the wind scene.
Okay, that scene in particular. I mean, overall, but that scene in particular. You know what? Te la comiste y no dejaste migaja.
What, the location?
Yes.
Remember that you were like, oh, let's do here. I'm like, no. I lived in downtown for many years. I know it very well. I know the wind sources in downtown. And, like, in that corner, it's always windy.
My biggest concern for that one was honestly that, like, if we get there and it's windy, but you can't see, like, because obviously
But
we
it's
don't live
always,
in Chicago.
It's always really, but that's why we had, like,
Yeah.
scarves and ties and all that to show the wind.
I don't know how we made it look as windy as it was, because it was windy. It was windy, but it wasn't that windy.
But it's always windy enough there.
Right.
But the funny thing about that shot was that we did, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 takes of it, and people were walking by like, what the hell are these guys doing? And I'm like, don't ask.
Well, when we were doing the jogging,
But the jogging seems a little bit more realistic because, like, people do jog by
This
there.
is true. This is true.
This is
This
in
is-
downtown
yeah.
by, like, the mouth of the Miami River, where the river meets the bay, right there in that corner. And people do jog there. It's just that we would jog, and then Ozzy would be like, okay, back. Take
I need you to
2.
turn here.
Okay. We did like 5 takes of the jogging, and then we did like 10 takes of me walking out of the courtroom, like, with the columns in the back. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We had, and then, you know, it came out exactly how, like, we envisioned it.
Yep.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We put a lot of work into it.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many times, like, I listened to the theme song over and
You
over
dream
again.
with it, don't
I
you?
dream with it, you know, but it's a good theme song.
it
so.
is. There's worse theme songs to dream with.
You know, and I'm glad we got to do a little homage to that show, because that
Yeah.
show is great. you
Yeah,
know?
I think that's just one of those shows that doesn't get nearly enough love as it should.
Yeah, I think it's become one of those, if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Perfect Strangers was very popular when it was on TV.
Yeah, and even in syndication,
It
had its
was
moment.
popular, but it hasn't had like the enduring popularity as some other shows.
Right.
Probably because it hasn't had the syndication life that other TV
Right.
shows have had. But it's one of those like people in our age group,
Yeah.
they know Perfect Strangers and they love it. So now the thing is, which one are we going to do next year?
We have some ideas.
I know, but
We
like,
have some ideas. We have a year. We have a year to think this through.
I forgot who it was that said, "Oh, you guys should do the Dukes of Hazzards." And I'm like, "No, the General Lee's like very controversial
yeah.
now. We're not dealing with that."
No. What would we even replace the General Lee with?
I don't know.
Like a Honda Acura?
No, an F-150. It's Miami.
Okay, okay.
Like a lifted F-150, you know, or like a Silverado, you know, with like Salt Life sticker in the background.
I would love for us to do it, if for no other reason, to see you and I trying to get into that car through the windows.
A lifted truck? No, we can't.
No, if anything. Because I can't. Those days are done.
Yeah. Now it would be interesting for completely different reasons.
Yes,
So-
exactly.
So how is everybody? How was your break? How is everybody? How's everybody's 2024? Has everybody already quit the gym?
I think, well, based on the lack of people I've seen, I think it's happening. It's starting
Yeah?
to happen. Yeah. But also, I'm going now during the day. There's actually a surprisingly large number of people showing up between the hours of like 11 and 2.
Oh, you know, working from home.
That's what it is. Like, you know, everybody's just like, total, llégate en la casa, déjame ir al gimnasio.
Yeah,
And
they
it's kind of
could.
nice.
Yeah, they could. So we hope everybody's having a great 2024.
And, well,
so
it's better now because we're back.
we are back. We have new mics.
We do. We have new mics. We have, you know, you've seen at this point on Instagram the new logo for the
Yes,
season. We have
yes.
the new promo. You know, we're starting the year off new.
Yes, and we this year we do plan on doing another episode on the road,
Yes.
or series of episodes on the road.
We just have to.
I don't know.
We just have to lock in where
I
and
think
when.
Texas is calling.
You know, I'm feeling Texas. I'm feeling Texas
Because Texas, we could do like a Texas road trip,
That's why I'm saying like we
like
could do
San Antonio, Austin, Houston,
Yeah, exactly.
Dallas. You know,
I could see that. Like we're there for a week and then just kind of.
Pero let me tell you, Texas hoedown.
Woohoo!
I mean, I'm for it.
I mean, look, you, me, barbecue. I'm not gonna say no.
I mean, you know.
What's the downside?
But you know what's going to happen though. I'm just letting you know.
What?
We're going to Texas, and it'll probably be in the summer. So that's all I have to say.
The heat?
Baseball.
Oh, okay.
because I've been to 25 of the 30 ballparks, and the 2 that I have not been,
Are in-
the 5 I haven't been to 5 of them, and 2 of them are in Texas.
Okay, that's fine. We can figure
So-
it out. You know what? Are any of them near Austin? No.
No,
Damn it. Okay, never mind. 'Cause I was like, you can go to the ballpark, and I'll go to the Alamo Draft House, and you know we can each have our thing.
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We
We'll
always do.
figure it out.
We always do.
So yeah. So, well, everybody, let's get the show on the road.
Let's get this year going.
So you know, a lot has been going on.
Casina.
I think we're gonna keep. You know, we talked about this last year, and I think that we're gonna keep to it this year as well. This year is an election year, and things are
They're gonna get
super crazy.
interesting, yeah,
really
yeah.
crazy. They already are crazy.
Yeah.
They're gonna get super crazy. We know about things going on in the world. We know there's a lot of really terrible things
Yeah.
going on, and you know, it's not that we're not going to talk about those things.
We're just gonna be measured.
But that's not why you guys tune in. And, you know, politics in particular, if something in particular happens that is like really big,
Exactly.
obviously we'll talk about
Yeah,
it. You know, I feel that in 2020, in part because I was working in politics, we talked more than we usually do, and that's okay. But, you know, we also realize that you all tune in to have a good time and to laugh, and there's so many, I mean, there's sources all day that are pounding every
Yeah.
moment of your existence with
Yeah.
terrible things going on in the world,
we're your oasis.
and with politics and stuff like that. So you could get that in a million different platforms. And again, it's not that we are completely shying away from that, but we're going to keep with the, you know, laughter and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the listen, laugh, and learn.
yeah, I mean, occasionally I will ask you questions of things that strike my interest. And
Yeah.
you know, and actually, I kind of want to ask about one of those today, but we'll get there when we
So,
get there. Yeah.
Well, Let's go.
Let's go. Arrancamos. Arrancamos. All right. So I wanted to bring something up because actually we're recording on Fake Friday, which is when the debut of Sofia Vergara's new Netflix project, Griselda, is happening.
Yes.
Right? So for those of you who don't know, number one, I would direct you to go see Billy Corbin's documentary Cocaine Cowboys because she features prominently. But she was, for all intents and purposes, the female... Yeah, she was the female Pablo Escobar. I mean, I think that's just like to shorthand it. You know, she was the godmother responsible for huge parts of the drug trade, specifically here in Miami. Lots of people died. Children died because of this woman. And now there is a Netflix production starring Sofia Vergara, which it's nice to see that we continue in this. Let's take beautiful women to play Griselda because we've gone from,
to glow up.
Yeah, we've gone from Catherine Zeta-Jones to Kate del Castillo to Sofia Vergara. You know, ahorita it's going to be Margot Robbie. And it's a 5-part miniseries. And look, I have not seen it. I am going to probably watch it more often than not because I am a true crime junkie. I think our listeners know this about me. I got my degree at Law and Order University. But one of the things that I have had a big issue with lately is the marketing of this miniseries, specifically the marketing here in South Florida. And I posted this on my personal one a couple days ago, actually. Did you see it?
I did.
Did you see what they did? So, down the Miami River, they got like one of those floating barges, that was like a freight ship, and it had Griselda on the side, and it was like, this many kilos would come in this type of thing, and blah, blah, blah. And then they had somebody, driving through South Florida and with like a giant tractor trailer, and then they would open it and they would hand out, gold bars that I think were chocolate. Probably. And they had the little
Wonka bars.
They were except talk about a dangerous factory. And then they had like those little money guns that would shoot out the dollars and this and that. And then further to that, they had the premiere here in Miami a couple days ago. And they had this whole thing. It was like the money room where people would go and pose, and they were like, flashing the cash. And then they invited esta mujer from Housewives of Miami, Alexia, who, I mean, maybe she was just missing the life. We don't know. I saw those marketing efforts, and see, that's the alarm that goes off in my head. It was so lazy to me because at this point, based on the way that they're glorifying her, or I feel that they're glorifying her in the marketing, because I have not seen the show, so I can't speak to that. They might as well have called it, instead of, Griselda, they might as well have called it like Greasy, #girlboss.
Right.
No, that's lazy marketing. That is low-hanging fruit to just be like, well, she was in the cocaine. Oh my God, let's just do like we're giving out money, and we're like, look, shh, la madrina, la jefa. It's like, you know what, guys? No, because when FX's Snowfall came out, which was about the crack epidemic in Los Angeles, you would never have been like, let's just have a party and give out little baggies with Fun Dip.
Right.
Or, when the Monster Jeffrey Dahmer thing came out, it wasn't like, you know what, we're going to book the premiere at like the biggest gay club and we're going to serve Dahmer's Carpaccio.
Oh my God.
You would not do that.
Yeah, and
you just wouldn't, and it just seems
so they're glorifying her.
It seems that they're glorifying it in the marketing. Again, I can't stress that enough. I have not seen the show, and I'll use the Dahmer as the example. When that first came out, I know people were very upset about it, rightfully so.
The victims,
rightfully
families.
so. But there was I hate to say this, there was a purpose, if you will, to that. Did you see that series finally?
I did.
You did. Ultimately, what it was about is how authority can turn a blind eye to the marginalized in these types of instances. And I think that's the takeaway from that, right? So maybe there's some other type of takeaway similar in the actual show once we see it, right? I don't know I don't know.
Right, but I think from what you're saying now, it's not even the content of the show. Again, it's the marketing.
The marketing just annoys me
because
to
I can't imagine that Sofia Vergara. I think she's an executive producer, right?
Yes, she is.
Her brother was killed in the drug trade.
The
drug trade, and I mean she was in Colombia when all this was happening, so she's lived it. So I can't imagine that she, especially being the executive producer, would be related to a project that glorifies this. Right. So again, as
that makes sense. That makes sense.
It's the marketing, how the marketing has gone ahead and done this. I actually see it as the same thing, the same way that when Dahmer came out, that the victims' families were protesting that.
They're rightfully upset.
And in Dahmer, they weren't glorifying him whatsoever.
At all. The thing is called Monster.
But the fact that, they were profiting off of these men that were killed in such terrible ways, you can make an argument that in here they are doing the same thing. And in addition to that, as you said, the marketing is like glamorizing this, like it's like fun and cool. And, all the kids are into it. And that is something, this is something that happened in the 80s and the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even that long ago. So there's still people that it's their kid who was murdered or their husband or, or a family member or friend. That there's a lot of people that are still in direct line of people that were murdered during this. So I think also it's in really bad taste. I mean, I realize that it's marketing, so they're going to do whatever they can for it to go viral. And in this,
but it's lazy marketing. It's lazy marketing because it is to me. And again, I think I know the company that is behind these efforts. To me, it seems like people just went into a room and they were like, "Bro, you know how Coke used to come in? Great, that's it.
It's
We
lazy
run with
marketing.
it."
Okay, but it's lazy marketing
for me.
And that's not my world, so I can't speak as an expert. But is it because whatever it is they did worked? We're talking about it here.
Fair enough.
There's pictures that have gone viral.
Okay,
so I disagree.
It's effective marketing, but it's lazy.
That it's in bad taste. But I think that I think, and again, I'm not a marketing professional. You are. I think you're looking from the eyes, because you are in marketing, of some type of ethical sort of.
I would never propose that.
Right. You're looking at it in some type of ethical sort of lens, which I understand that you're going to do that in marketing or in any career, but in marketing. So I think that they just didn't even consider that here. They considered, the marketing, from what I've seen that you're talking about, has been predominantly online and on social media. So it's about what goes viral and what people are going to hashtag and what people are going to do. So I don't see it as lazy marketing. I see it as insensitive, but I see it as like, well, they actually did what they set out to do. And this has gone viral and people are posting about it. And yes, I completely agree with what you're saying. I just think it's a new low in marketing.
It's effective marketing, but it can still be lazy.
But again, I go back to
Again, I'm approaching it from a different angle. I get that.
It's lazy, maybe, but it worked. And I think that probably the people in Netflix, they just wanted something that worked. And they did. So, I too, I'm like, man, they're fucking, glamorizing this woman, and esta mujer acabó,
Right, because we're not talking about like a person who dealt in the gray.
Yeah, these people, the woman had like whole families murdered.
There were families where they decided the people that she had sent to kill the entire family were like, I'm not killing kids. And she was like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, I'm definitely watching it. I'm definitely watching it.
I am. I want to see the...
I mean, first of all, I love Sofia Vergara, so I'm glad to support, a project of hers, and she's great. And
I didn't think about what you had said before, which is that, I can't imagine her glorifying in terms of the project because of her brother. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to show all angles of her, and from what I've read, there is a certain origin story of her,
of course,
and that's fine. But I think that at the end of the day, they need to say, if they say the story correctly, which I imagine they are to a certain extent. I mean, they can't paint her as like a hero,
as an anti-hero.
Yeah,
right.
That's Taylor Swift. That's not.
Which will play Griselda Blanco in the next adaptation. Right. Yes, at the rate we're going.
Ahorita they're going to cast Swiss women. So, speaking of things going viral.
I was going to say, speaking of Swiss women.
So, I'm going to bring it here a little local. When I mean local, I mean Florida. So, there was a bill proposed this week in the Florida legislature. I don't know if the bill has reached the House or it's going to, but it's floating around there that they're going to write a bill or propose a bill regarding social media. And what it would do is that it would outlaw social media for kids under the age of 16. And there's not a lot of details as to what this bill is going to do, what it's going to actually state. And I don't know if this is going to be monitored by the social media platforms. I'm not sure how this would be executed
and enforced.
It would enforced and passed. I don't know. I think the bigger reason why I'm bringing it up in terms of a topic of conversation is because, we know social media, the effects of social media, and there have been countless studies already that have come out that have said that social media is extremely dangerous for kids, especially of middle school age, particularly girls. So there's an age gap of like 12 to 17 where social media is extremely impressionable and negative, and they've done a lot of research on this, and it could lead to like depression, isolation, so on and so forth.
The worst.
So, you know, my whole thing in terms of that is, as much as I agree with that, and as much as a parent, I don't want my kid on social media, and I'm going to be very, very strict on that. Is it also something that the state should police? Because I don't know how comfortable I feel about the government, in this case, the state government, intruding in terms of my life as to social media that my child consumes. And again, I am not for social media with kids whatsoever.
But that's not the point.
But again, what should the government involved in that, the government of Florida telling me how, you know, because on the other hand, you know, the government of Florida is always like parental rights. Parents
Right.
should have the right to
have
have autonomy, to have their kids, you know, with the way they want to raise their kids. Well, that works both ways. So,
Right.
So, you know, that's, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think my first question is why? Why are they so concerned about this particular area when they are not concerned about ensuring education? They're not concerned about, you know, just the other day, didn't they turn down some some offer for funding that would, you know, help feed I don't know how many children during the summer who don't have access to food? So why is this? And maybe this is the conspiracy nut in me, right?
I don't know too much about the bill. It was something that was just floated out.
Right. But why is this all of a sudden they're concerned about their mental health? You know, a little bit of the conspiracy nut in me says also it's a way to restrict the access that these forming minds can have to differing thoughts, quote unquote.
Right.
Because again, don't give me the bullshit that they're out there trying to be nice about the mental health, because the one thing that I've gathered from Florida, you know, politics is that they don't give a flying fuck about anybody but themselves. So that's my first question.
I don't know. Again, I mean, look, this whole thing with social media and kids is something that has, I mean, this is not the first time it's come.
Yeah, we've talked about this many times.
But I just, again, as much as I don't agree with kids using social media, and I think it's very, very dangerous, and
yeah, but who's the government to tell you?
I mean, yeah, the government stepping in and being like, no,
right,
it's illegal. Because, I mean, again, how would they even execute that? Because, I mean, we all know that even if in social media it has an age limit. You could just put a different birthday. I mean,
there's ways around it. Yeah.
There's ways around it.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
I don't know how I feel about that. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We're well into the new year, and you're probably trying to figure out how to keep those New Year's resolutions. You know who could help with that? Our friends at BetterHelp. So often we focus on external factors when trying to make changes in our lives, when the key is actually improving our mental well-being. BetterHelp offers various customized therapy options like phone, video, text, or even live sessions, all with a certified therapist. Your mental health deserves to happen on your time, right? And BetterHelp can match you with a therapist in 48 hours, in most cases. And as a special offer for Pero Let Me Tell You listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/pero. It's already more affordable than in-person therapy. Now you can also save on your first month. Self-improvement isn't just a New Year's resolution, it's a lifelong journey, and BetterHelp can help you take the first step on that path. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com/pero. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast episode. Oh my God. So I had one of those moments this week twice. This is welcome to the bitching corner of Pero Let Me Tell You's first episode of 2024. So, okay, so we've talked about this before, and I'm sure listeners, you've all been there and you've all felt frustrated with offshore customer service.
Yes.
So I had two doozies this past week with offshore customer service.
Cuidado que después te dicen racista.
And no, you know what? You know why I don't like complaining about it? Because look,
They're doing their job.
They're doing their job.
They're just
These
doing their
people are
job.
doing their job
Based on the script they were given, the direction they were given.
I feel bad for them because at the end of the day, I'm never rude to them. I mean, I'm like, I know Americans, we could be really pesado.
Yeah.
And we could be really like, elitist.
I'm an American.
I'm American.
Yeah.
Speak American,
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, these people are doing their jobs. This is what they were trained on.
Yeah.
And
Just earning a paycheck.
they're earning a paycheck. To some of them, this is a very good job.
It's a high-paying
It's
job.
a high-paying job that they're feeding their family.
Yeah.
So, more power to them.
Yeah.
My frustration comes more in terms of the American company, and either A, they're offshoring this, or B, the training needs to be different.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof, because I feel that whenever you call one of these customer service reps, están una hora, oh yes, Mr. Borges, oh yes, Mr. Borges, we're so sorry, Mr. Borges.
I'm going to help you, I'm going to help you, I'm going to help you,
Mr. Borges, because I'm going to look at the what's going on,
complaint,
Mr. Borges, and I'm going to take care of you, Mr. Borges. Stop saying my name.
This is not Destiny's Child.
Stop saying my name. Just no me des tanta explicación. Just fix what I need. And te dan estas explicaciones, and I could tell they're reading from a script. So earlier this week, I had a huge scare. I had
you're wearing it.
I'm wearing my Shinola watch that I love so much, and this is not a cheap watch. And I had to send it to be serviced. And Shinola's headquarters are in Detroit, and it's a quartz watch, so it needs to be serviced and tuned every few years. And I sent it in. I insured that thing for like $2,000. It's going over there. I was like, oh, I was so hesitant to send it in UPS. I'll just say UPS. And Shinola gets it, and they service it, and they're like, it's on the way. And then they send it, and they send me the tracking number, and from Detroit to Miami, my watch went. So I knew what day it was going to arrive. It was going to arrive on a Wednesday. And when I get to my house, they had been, UPS had been here, and they had left the little sticker that says, we reached you at 118 and nobody was here.
Right.
So we're taking it to CVS. And I'm like, okay.
Milagro CVS and not like a FedEx.
Well, FedEx is a competitor.
Oh, sorry.
You mean a UPS store?
Yeah.
CVS has a UPS retrieval, whatever.
See.
So I go to the local CVS by my house. I'm not going to give the address because...
But if you know where he lives...
Well, you can I'm not going to give my address.
No.
But second of all, I don't also want to throw under the bus the management there. So I go there, and the little paper that UPS left had the address on it. So I get there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for this box. And they couldn't find the box. And they go everywhere looking for the box. And the box is missing with my expensive watch. So finally the manager comes, and I give her the little sticker they left in my door, and she's like, she looks at it, she goes, oh no, the thing is that the watch is at, she read the address that was on the sticker. Oh, the watch is at this address. And I'm like, ma'am,
that's my house.
That's the address of the store that I'm in right now. And she's like, oh, that's the address of this CVS? I'm like, yes, it is. And she's like, oh, I didn't realize that was our address. And I'm like, sí, Yuli sí.
Brilliant.
Sí. Este es Sunset Drive.
Yeah.
Right
there, right in front of you.
Yeah,
right in front of you.
Yeah, Yuli, yeah. She's like, ay, qué pena. And I'm like, Yuli, I don't care, qué pena. La caja mía está aquí.
Right, yeah, just cut to the chase.
Encuentra la caja. Bueno, la caja no estaba ahí. Okay. So I'm like, ay, que me aparta un rayo. I'm like, now I have to call UPS. And then I spoke to Bob at UPS, and Bob was like, this was the next day. Bob was like, oh, it's been 24 hours since the box was supposed to be at CVS. Your box is lost. And I was like,
excuse me?
I was like, I'm not emotionally prepared for you to tell me that my watch, my very expensive watch,
just vanished.
And you're just like, yeah, it's lost. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let's do an investigation.
Right, we're looking for it.
We're going to look for it.
Right.
It was like, oh no, your box is lost. And I could tell he was reading this from a script.
Like, abandon all hope.
Yes, and I'm like, what? I had a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna go cry because this is my watch, my watch that I love. So whatever. Long story short, a few days later, I I may or may have not sent UPS something on my letterhead.
A strongly worded letter.
A few days later, I get an email saying, "Oh, your watch is at the CVS," and I'm like, "Vaya hoy." I'm like, I'm not asking any questions. I'm not asking any
Just
questions.
appeared.
Vaya hoy. And then the other offshore customer service moment I had was actually today, Fake Friday. I was calling a doctor's office, and the doctor's office like receptionist was offshore, and I'm like,
How?
but I'm like, you're in Homestead. Yeah, it's offshore. Their answering service is offshore.
They outsource.
They outsource, and this was during working hours.
Despite having a receptionist.
This was during working hours.
Okay.
I could understand because a lot of doctors' offices, sometimes have like that 24-hour service.
Okay, yes. So
they'll
so after hours.
They'll have an after hours
right.
representative. I would understand if that was offshore because the company
Time differences and everything.
no,
Yeah.
the company that is providing the call, the 24-hour service, has a offshore customer service, whatever. But this was like during regular working hours. You tremendo lío over an appointment.
That's
back
so
and forth.
bizarre. I'd never heard
and
of
I'm
that.
like, this is just my problem with it is the lack of training that these poor people have, and then they have to deal with us Americans calling that hits them like a category 5, and they're just not properly trained, So I learned a little trick.
Okay.
So my dad was like,
Listen up, everybody.
My dad's like, si tú no quieres hablar con otra gente, di que quieres hablar en español y te ponen alguien en México. And they
Actually,
do.
you know what?
And they're great. They're great.
I
The
just-
Mexican customer service is amazing.
I just learned that the other day.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you want to cut through all of the time, like the hold time and everything, go to Spanish.
Yeah.
Go Spanish.
So aprieta dos para español.
Aprieta dos para español.
And usually the people, and because my father has called a few times, he's like, todos viven en Aguascaliente. And I'm like, I'm going to start doing that. I'll go through the Mexican customer service,
Okay, we speak Spanish.
Yeah, and everybody's in a good mood, and I don't think they're reading from a script. I better get these other poor people. I feel bad for them. They're reading from a script, and again, I'm very polite to them. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be that
But even
American.
okay,
It's just again, I think it's lazy training from the American company that they probably just train them for a day or two and then give them a binder. You could tell that like when you're calling with a problem, they're like looking through like the they're looking
the tab,
through, like,
the tab that says lost item.
Yeah. Here it is. Okay, and then they just read it. So
I do feel bad for them. And again, to your point though, even though I'm sure you were very nice or nicer, the fact remains that when you are calling them, you're not calling them to say you had a wonderful experience. So no matter how nice you are, you're already in a bad mood.
But my favorite thing about this story was, when I went to the CVS and
that was local.
And the manager was like, no, mijo, mira, es que el paquete te lo dejaron en esta dirección. And I'm like, señora, esa es la dirección del CVS en que estamos parados ahora mismo. She goes, ay, de verdad. The guy next to her was David. She's like, ay, David, ¿verdad que esta es la dirección de aquí? I'm like, yes, ma'am. And there I was like all pissed off that my watch was off. I'm like, sí, señora, esta es la dirección de aquí. La dirección que usted es la manager.
I love how like in that moment you're like, I am really pissed off, but I really have to remember this for season 7.
Yeah.
I
was like, this is content.
This is
content.
It's a twofer.
That was
It's
the
a twofer.
greatest. That was the greatest part of that story. So
Oh, good Lord. So I just want to brag a little bit because I recently had the opportunity to go to Vegas to see Kylie Minogue.
Oh yes, that was great. Yeah, you win.
I
mowed my lawn.
I will. I will tell you, I have never had such a great concert experience as.
Well, she was practically on your lap.
I mean, a little bit more, and I think she could have been here. I probably could have invited her to the show.
Yeah,
she was that close to me. It was wonderful. For those of you who don't know, she's doing a residency in Vegas at the Voltaire, which is in the Venetian.
It cost you the GDP of a small country.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going. So what happened was, okay, so to get in, it was about $250, $300 for 2 tickets total. Not bad. Again, this is a very intimate space. They don't have more than 1,000 people in there. Whatever, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. However, I was like, "Tú sabes que yo voy a tirar la casa por la ventana. I'm gonna get the close up."
That's such a great saying.
It is a great.
I'm
saying.
gonna throw the house through
out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is only it only becomes dangerous if you live in an apartment complex.
Yes.
And And so, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get the VIP thing, whatever. So it's like you're sitting in these little tables right next to the runway. I mean, again, like you said, I'm pretty sure that I walked away with like some Kylie DNA on me, like sweat or spit or something. However, what they require of you when you're sitting at that table is that you have a minimum spend of $550 in a bar tab. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, but you live in Miami. You're probably used to, high bar tabs, like the table server. No, because we don't do that. Like, these are two people here talking to you who don't go to the VIPs and clubs at all. But you know what?
I'll have an electric lemonade at Chili's.
But I was like, fine, I'll do it. Okay. We need to talk about the markup of liquor.
I mean,
I know that it's known, but again, I bought a bottle of Prosecco for Kylie Minogue Prosecco because, I'm on brand. I want to see her. I want her to see I'm supporting her. We're that close. I've literally bought that here for like $30. Mm-hmm. It cost me like $250.
No.
$250.
I wouldn't even do that for Bono.
$250.
I won't.
Then on top of that, the only you would do it for Mariah if you had the money. If you had like some spare money somewhere, listen,
whatever.
You saw how close I was.
Yeah.
For Mariah, that close. If you had some like mad money stashed somewhere, at minimum you'd think about it.
It's the principle of the matter.
At minimum you'd think about it. What really got me though is the fact that they did not have any food.
Yeah, that's
not really.
I mean, I want like rack of ribs.
At least empanadas. Something. No, all they had was like these teeny tiny little things of caviar.
Yeah. Of course it's caviar because they could have marked that up.
You know how much the caviar was?
$200.
Keep going.
$300.
It was $350 per cosita.
With $350, you could rent a boat and you could go. You
can play all of
get
her
some
albums.
Lobsters during lobster season.
I will, and then on top of that,
a lobster there must be like $5,000.
No, I hope they bring it from Atlantis.
Yeah.
For that much money. But then, of course, on top of that, it's then the gratuities included, and then the hotel fee.
It's funny because
after you
left, I looked up the menu, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And what I was like really funny, what I was like really laughing at, which I'm sure you had looked at too.
Yeah.
I'm like, cuando a este le pasen la cuenta. Y vea, there's like a 20% service charge and like a 9% like tax
resort and a tax
whatever resort fee.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, in between taxes and fees, you were paying like a 35, 40% in addition to the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yep.
I was like, yeah.
You know what, though? To quote Kylie, you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. It was look again. I knew going in.
I mean, look.
I knew going in that this was the case. It's not like they caught me off guard.
I think the problem with this,
the problem is the lack of food for me.
Because
the liquor markup is. I mean, it is what it is.
The problem with this Kylie experience that you had is more evidence of what we've been talking about in terms of concerts. Concerts have become a thing where it's for either people that have a lot of money or people that are affluent that they could hire someone like a scalper or something to get them really expensive tickets, or you have to be saving your money for months and months and months and months and months, or dip into your savings to go see someone in concert and get a decent ticket. Because there is no reason why you should be paying thousands of dollars to see anyone in an arena or a stadium. There isn't. And that's where we are today. Today.
At least with my ticket, she was like, it was a very small venue, but that still will cost you the same as a stadium.
But the reason they're doing that is because they can.
Oh yeah.
Because that is just the inflation that concert tickets have had in just the last 3 or 4 years, like post-pandemic, has been insane. There is no reason why you need to be paying thousands of dollars to go see Taylor Swift or Beyonce. There just isn't, and that's how much they cost, and in resale and all that. So it's become very unattainable now for the average person. And you're talking about one ticket, right? How about if you have, you're a family, or how about if it's like you and your significant other? It's like, man, and then if you go in a group of friends, maybe not everybody can afford it. I remember when like the front row to see U2 or like Madonna was like $300.
And that was, you were at the front of the stage.
That was like the front row.
Right.
right? And that wasn't even that long ago.
No,
But
maybe like 10 years ago or so. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's crazy. And that you say, oh, I would do it for Mariah. Obviously, if like Mariah had that experience, I probably would do it too, but the principle of the matter,
It would
that
hurt
you're
you. It would
paying
hurt.
so much money to do that. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. So
It's funny because Jose was like, I don't see, like, didn't have like security around her or whatever. And I'm like, if they were there, I couldn't see them. But then he also brought up a good point. He's like, well, when you stop and think about how much you pay for those tickets, this is not like,
Yeah.
general admission $20 riff-raff, quote unquote, coming in,
So anyway, something I wanted to bring up on the show this week is something really sort of controversial, groundbreaking that was happened here in South Florida, well, in Miami in particular, this week. So after many years of protests and of pushback and pressure from animal activists
and Louis Aguirre,
the Miami Seaquarium, which is Miami's aquarium, if you will, the Miami-Dade government said that they will not be renewing their lease. I'm not sure when their lease expires, but they will not be renewing their lease when the lease ends, because the Miami Seaquarium obviously is on county land, and they will not be renewing the lease. And that's, a lot of people have chimed in about that. And it's a sort of, I don't want to say controversial in a bad way, but it's controversial insofar
it's a hot button topic.
That it's a hot button topic. And a lot of people feel very strongly about it. Now, I have to tell you this. I went to the I used to go to the Seaquarium when I was a kid. Then I went a few times in high school. And I didn't go back. Then I didn't go for like 20 some years. Then I went a few years ago on a field trip with Tristan, and I had, again, I hadn't been there in a long time. Right. And I have to tell you, when I went to the Seaquarium a few years ago on this field trip, now as an adult, like, I was able to really see like
what they're talking about,
how bad things were. We saw Lolita, and when I saw the tank, I was like, this is the size, maybe a little bit bigger, of like a large residential swimming pool. Like, this is insane.
Right.
And we saw like another dolphin show where, like, again, really, really small tanks, and you could tell that the Seaquarium was not updated or upgraded at all, to take care of these animals. Yeah, that they were in captivity, at least have them comfortable.
Sí, coño, yeah.
They weren't. So I am no fan at all of the Seaquarium, but I will say this, though. For better or for worse, a lot of us have memories going to the Seaquarium. We have that. I think everybody's taken a picture with that dolphin, statue with the dolphin, helmet.
And we all get that wax statue.
I think there's a lot of us that are from Miami have grown up going to the Seaquarium, and it was very iconic. I didn't realize it's one of the oldest aquariums in the country. And while I'm no fan of the Seaquarium, I really hope that if they close it down, they make it into some type of sanctuary or some type of
marine
center or
something.
something that's open to the public. What I do not want to see is that land be turned into condos. For another more high rises, for more condos, for people that don't even live here, that are buying it for tax write-offs. Right. Because the Seaquarium is located in a beautiful area of Key Biscayne. So I just really hope that even if they end it in terms of an aquarium per se, that they make it into some type of preserve for animals, something that is
in the spirit
in terms of education, that they preserve it for future generations of the land, so we can enjoy that land and what they have there, even if it's not, thankfully, an aquarium anymore where they have all these poor animals stuck in there. Because again, I would hate to see that land redeveloped into condos for people that are not from Miami and not for Miami residents. So that's my take on that. What's your take on that?
It's one of those things. I have not been to the Seaquarium in forever, and you were not actually the first person to tell me that. A mutual friend of ours, he took his little boy, And I think it was maybe like we had lunch like 2 weeks after that or whatever. And he was like, bro, have you been to this aquarium? I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, está deprimente.
Yeah.
Because aside from what you were just saying about, you know, the animals and everything, it's what you're mentioning, which is it's just hasn't been maintained. Like he's like, y está caro como cojones.
Yeah.
Because you went on a field trip, so it was probably cheaper. But he was like, I think it's like $40 per person or something. And he's like, and you walk in there, it's like, son cuatro pescado por aquí, un seahorse allá, and everything is like falling apart.
Yeah. No, see, actually, from
Like, I don't-
an architecture standpoint, I'm like, it's like stepping back in time. It's like, oh, this is like from the 50s, but I don't think that's the point. I don't think they're like,
They're not going for mid-century.
right? They're not going for mid-century modern.
No,
right?
it was modern when it was
Right,
created.
and one of
yes.
the biggest criticisms of this aquarium, in addition to the way that they've kept the animals throughout the years, is that I know of, there's a lot of aquariums like the Georgia Aquarium or even SeaWorld, which SeaWorld is no innocent player here.
Yeah.
But some of these aquariums or companies, they do research. They are
They're like
sanctuaries.
habitats, yeah.
They're habitats. They rescue animals. So at least they're doing something for that.
There's some good.
And again, I have my criticisms of those facilities as well. But that I know of, this aquarium didn't do none of that. So I just, again, when I went it was maybe 3 years ago, that I remember, I have pictures with Lolita from when I was like 6, 7 years
all
old.
do, yeah.
And I remember when I walked into that, like where she was at, I was like taken aback. I was like, this is so small.
I think
because obviously as a kid you don't.
It's huge,
you
right?
don't
You're little.
remember that.
Well,
but I'm like, ella no cabe aquí.
Somebody I think said once it's the equivalent of if you were being kept in like a bathtub.
Yeah. And it just, you know, I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but you know, with what happened with the Lolita, you know, the killer whale at this aquarium, you know, that she was going to be transferred this year, last year in 2023, and then there were all these plans and all that, and then all of a sudden she got sick and died.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, she was also old. It's not like
she was, but she was in good health. I mean, I don't know. It's just the timing. Again, you got to question the timing. Maybe it was just coincidence.
Yeah.
But there were all these plans to move her. Now, after all these years, there was a plans to move her, and like she literally dies 2 months later.
Yeah. Well, you know, Occam's razor. You know, sometimes the most obvious answer is what it is. You know.
I actually wanted to bring up something else that's local. So to our listeners who are not from South Florida, you know, but you know, this is something that like it's particular to South Florida, but it's affecting everybody now because property prices and
yes.
La gente aquí son unos descarados with like, you know, $2,000 for inefficiency. Did you hear what's going on in Hialeah with the RVs?
I did, but okay. So I heard, but I don't know.
Okay, but have you seen the RVs in Hialeah?
No, because you were in Hialeah.
Hialeah is like my second home, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things that like I started noticing little by little because this happened quite quickly. When I mean quite quickly, I mean in the last couple of years.
Okay.
Like I'll be like, I mira esa casa tiene a camper in the front. I mira this other house too. I mira que aquí la gente de Hialeah, they like to go camping. And I'm like, I know these people. These are my people. Right. And I'm like, Cubans don't go camping.
Not in an RV.
Not in an RV.
Not in an RV.
No, Cubans don't go camping, period.
They'll go to a cabin.
No.
I'm saying they go to the cabin in Pigeon Forge, but they don't get an RV.
To a cabin in Pigeon Forge is not camping.
But that's their version of camping.
Right, but that's not camping.
Right.
Camping is to estar en una casa de campaña in the Everglades at night.
Right, but I'm supporting your thing about Cubans don't go camping.
Anyway, Cubans don't go camping. Why are there so many RVs here? And it was one after another. No. Todo RVs in Mango. Bueno, Mango Hill doesn't have that many RVs because there's an HOA there. But all these, everywhere in Hialeah, there's an RV, you know, parked in front of the house. And then it's that people are renting them.
So what it is people buy it, like I buy an RV, I put it in front of my house, and then I rent it to you
for like
it's an efficiency.
$2,000 a month.
Like it's an efficiency.
Yes, like it's an efficiency for like $2,000 a month. So, y tú metes ahí 4 o 5 gente en el RV.
Pero how?
You know those things have a lot of little nooks and shit where you could sleep. You know, oye, we're Cuban. You know what? We live in clown cars. Are
as soon as I asked, I asked and answered. Yes.
You're talking about like we used to put like 7-8 people in a 1-2 bed motel.
This
we
is
used to go to
true.
Disney. You know that I had a Disney trip. Little tangent here. In 1987, we went to Disney, and I went with my cousins, and I was really, I was a little kid, and I went with my cousin, her boyfriend, my parents, my brother, and my cousin, and I'm like, it was 7 of us, 4 adults. My brother was like a teenager, so he was adult
adult-ish,
size.
yeah.
So really, like 5 adults in terms of sizes, and me and my other cousin. And we all went in a Cutlass Supreme. Like, how did we fit the 7 of us in that car? Like, it's funny because the other day I was talking to my dad about it. I'm like, how did all 7 of us fit in a Cutlass Supreme? And I know cars in the 80s were a little bit bigger, but still, it was 7 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's because we're Cuban. We couldn't make anybody fit.
That back seat probably had a litera.
That back seat, it was the equivalent of stuffing a gusano to go to Cuba. You could put literally the kitchen sink in there, and I think about that all the time. I'm like, how did we all fit in there?
Yeah.
So anyway, we were all stuck in a Cutlass Supreme. But the point is, back to the Hialeah thing.
Yes,
So
yes.
the Hialeah city government is now trying to pass some ordinance where they're going to make it illegal to have an RV in front of your house, and you can't have one in the backyard too, because a lot of people have their RV and of course a bote.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And then the problem with this RV is that a lot of these RVs are on generators. So when you have like 20 RVs lined up in a yes.
Oh,
yes.
Lord.
Yes.
How the hell does
So,
anybody sleep?
I have like a lot of mixed feelings about this because I think that the RV situation in the front yard is
It's a result.
Yes, I think it's the result of a bigger problem, which
Yes.
is housing, both the shortage and how unaffordable it is. So people do what they got to do. But I also see the other side of it. Like if I had 20 RVs lined up in my house and you don't know who's moving it out, because a lot of, these people that live in RV, it's temporary.
It's
like,
transient.
So it's transient. So it's just a problem. And then I feel also bad for the people because like maybe that's the only place they have to go.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody starts out in life being like, I want to live in an RV with 3 other people.
Right. Yeah. I feel bad for them. It's just a shitty situation no matter where they,
Yeah, how you slice it.
how you do it, because I don't think that the government should be also intervening, because I see it from the point of view of like, okay, but that's your house, and if you want to have a fucking RV, then have an RV. ¿Quién tú me dejas decir a mí that I can't have an RV? But then on the other hand, then there's houses that have multiple RVs in the front,
Right.
So and then have in the back plus 4 efficiencies. So you have a motel.
I was going to say, it's like a freaking building there.
So it's just, I mean. It's just another example of how like the craziness with housing, and I mean, look, that's something that's happening throughout most of the country.
yeah, so it's not just us.
Yeah, it's not just us.
It's funny because I see every now and again on like the Miami Herald will put out a headline. It's like housing prices are I don't want to say dropping. Like they'll say like are coming down, or rent is lowering, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, where?
It's $20 less.
Right, because to me that's not lowering. That's like that's nothing.
I mean, I'm still thinking honestly about the 7 of us in a Cutlass Supreme. How did we do that? Like, I swear to you, like last week or not too long ago, I asked my dad. I'm like, Papá, ¿tú te acuerdas cuando nosotros fuimos a Disney con Jackie and her boyfriend? Like, ¿cómo nosotros todos nos comimos en el carro? It was a 2-door Cutlass Supreme.
Oh, not even
it
a
wasn't
4-door.
even a sedan.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
okay,
the
okay.
80s, the Cutlass Supreme
That's true.
coupe was
That's
the
true.
shit. Like,
That's
that car
true.
was good. I'm like, how? And I know that in the 80s, a lot of cars in the front,
You could fit 3.
Could fit 3.
Right.
But we were 7.
You know what? No, it makes sense. They probably put one of you kids in the front.
We didn't. I went in the back with my cousin and my brother. And
Okay.
my mother.
Well, there you go. They put the smaller people together who occupy less space.
We put 4 people in the back,
back.
that's supposed to be for 2.
Right.
Because it's a coupe.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were probably half sitting on somebody's lap.
I probably was.
Yeah.
And I was like 7. I was never a small kid.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. And I'm like, the 7 of us went in one car. Like,
And back.
yes.
and back.
Yes. I remember that was also the first time I ever had Mrs. Fields cookies.
Oh,
Yeah. I remember when we came back from the trip, we stopped at, I mean, yeah, we were in Miami. We got off the turnpike and went to International Mall and had Mrs. Fields.
oh,
Yeah.
I miss Mrs. Fields.
Are they not around anymore?
Oh, I'm just saying I don't go to the mall. That's what I'm saying. I miss Mrs. Fields.
Excuse me.
That's what I mean by like.
Mr. Amazon.
No, it's not even that. I don't go shopping anymore. Really.
Oh, excuse me.
No, I just I work from home. Like I I wear the same 12
And
things.
then I give you all my stuff.
right, so I don't go
I
shopping
love
anymore.
when you wear a shirt. I'm like, that was my shirt, Banana Republic circa 2009.
yeah,
And now it's vintage.
now it's vintage.
You've
I'm
been
rocking
able
the
to-
vintage.
That you've been able to make it work.
Yes.
Yeah, those were good times. You know what I think is really funny? I know this is not true, but it's lived on in like Cuban folklore. Is that whole story of the Cubans,
lechon.
the lechon that did the lechon in the bathtub
Of a motel.
of the motel in Disney?
Yeah, and it caught fire.
And it caught
because
fire.
of the fiberglass.
Here's
and-
the thing about that story. I know that that's not true, and it's Cuban folklore, right?
Yes,
I mean, for those of
it's
you who
urban
haven't,
legend.
for those of you who haven't heard it, so there's like this urban legend here in Miami of the Cubans that were going to Disney, and there was like 20 of them in a room. Y querían
That part's true.
Querían asar un lechón, in the bathtub. Here's the thing. I don't believe it, but I do believe there have been people that conversations have been had. And I could just imagine. Sí, mira. Tú pones en la bañadera, tú la llenas de aluminio, así no quemas la bañadera, y ahí pones el carbón.
Pones el tapón.
Ajá, pones el carbón, ok, y arriba pones el puerco. Entonces, bro, tú, mira, tapas la cosa de esa del humo.
Del humo. Ajá.
Del humo.
Le sacas la batería.
Le sacas la batería, lo tapas y nada, y mismo hacemos el lechón. Like, I could just...
Conversations
hear
have been had.
The conversation.
Yes,
I think
yes.
it probably never happened. I will tell you, though, in that trip in the Cutlass Supreme, I do remember that my mom took like a fryer and she made hamburgers in the room and it did set off the fire alarm. And we stayed at the Howard Johnson's in Kissimmee, which is still around today.
The Hojo's still there?
That Hojo is still there.
And it's still a Hojo? Or
I don't know if it's still a Hojo, but the building is still there because I remember it perfectly. It's still there. Yeah. Oh, no. You know, when we went to Disney, you know, mi mamá llevaba un yogur, una galletica. We were that family that was eating at Disney with like...
And if we knew, what is it then, what we know now, we would have been doing that.
Yeah, you know,
because
you know where
you were recently in Disney and it is not cheap.
No, you know where we where my mom would stash toda la comida, the little snacks, cogía la java de wholesome bread y las metía ahí con el caprizón.
Ajá, ya, claro.
Con el caprizón.
Porque te tracé.
That by that time the caprizón was a soup.
Because guess what happens to something packaged in aluminum that's liquid?
Yeah. So
Kind of absorbs the
good
heat.
Good times.
Kind of absorbs
Good
the
times.
heat.
I think about it fondly. We've all been there.
Listen.
7 people in a Cutlass Supreme going to Disney
Who
World.
among us?
And then, you know, you're eating snacks from your mom's bag all day because, you know, the Disney World food is too expensive. We've all been there at one point or another.
Yeah.
It's an origin story.
And you know what? We'd probably have a lot more money in our pockets if we still did it.
I mean, listen, I went to Disney last month, and actually, you know what? I will tell you this. When I went to Disney last month, I mentally prepared myself. I was like, I'm not going to be complaining the whole time here that I'm here about the prices. Porque si no me voy a mangar. And
No,
I'm in
yeah,
the happiest
yeah.
place on earth.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? I will pay $12 for the pretzel and just be okay. Like,
Again, you know, walking in, like, nadie te está haciendo cuento. Nobody's tricking you that, like, you know, bait and switch. You know going in that it's going to be expensive as fuck.
although I did have a burger at Epcot that had some onion jam on it. That was freaking phenomenal. Like,
Oh, that sounds good.
yeah, it was so good.
That sounds
It was
really
so good. You know what's a restaurant I wanted to eat the most in Epcot Center is Canada. Their restaurant is like top notch, but it's carísimo.
Wow. And that's saying a lot because it's
It's
Disney.
carísimo. It's like un bistec te cuesta $70 y pico.
But is that with the Canadian exchange rate?
No, but they have the mountain horsemen, like
Oh, the Mounties.
yeah, dressed like them when you come in. So,
And do you get to ride the horse?
no, but you know what? Actually, okay. So let me tell you about my Epcot experience because we were recording.
It's true.
So this time around, when I went to Epcot, I was like, I'm going to watch all these cultural films.
Okay.
And Tristan was so into them. So I'm like,
okay.
we're going to go to the 360 theater in Canada and watch the movie of Canada. And we loved it. Have you ever done that?
God, no.
It's a 360-degree film of Canada.
No, I've just never done like that. Like usually when I go to Canada when I go to Epcot, it's like there's some type of festival food and wine
Right,
thing.
so you've never done the 360
no,
degree
no.
experience in China either?
No.
Ay, pa que tú sirve entonces? It's a cultural world showcase. You got to go to the pavilion.
But I showcase their culture via food and drink.
Oh, you know where you got to go? Japan, the store in Japan.
Oh, it's really pretty.
Oh, but no, have you gone all the way in the back where they have the tea and all that?
No.
Oh, no. It's like this whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, because the Japan store is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I want to have I want to have dinner in Canada.
Dinner in Canada.
Fake Canada. Oh my gosh, I was so excited to go on the Ratatouille ride and it was broken.
Oh, that made me sad.
Yeah.
Because that's like one of the few rides in
I have to
Epcot.
tell you that I know they do it on purpose. It's Disney. Disney owns the air too. When in that little, have you been to the Ratatouille ride?
No, because it wasn't open last time I was
So you have to go through like the main part of France, and then you have to go like through a back way, and then it's like another expansion they did of it. So there's a part.
So the
there's a few
entrance is
parts
kind of
there-
like hidden.
Yeah, that it's like really small and quaint. That's very Parisian, in fact. And I'm like, it smells like Paris here, and I'm like, yeah, of course it does,
course it
because
does.
it's Disney.
They
Like,
probably imported the air from Disneyland Paris. From Euro, from
yeah.
Euro
They
Disney.
probably have like Parisian water and running through
Right.
the sewers here. So I'm like, because it's Disney.
It's
of course
Disney.
it's Paris. So
They
yeah.
funneled the tube from Euro Disney. Bueno, we're officially at that point where many of us have broken that resolution about eating better. Oye, no es fácil, mi gente. But you know what does make it easy to be healthier? Dairy, yeah, los productos lácteos. De leche a queso, even yogurt. Your favorite dairy products have calcium, protein, zinc, and riboflavin, which helps your body use carbs, fats, and protein for fuel. Plus, who doesn't love saying riboflavin? Incorporating dairy into your diet is so easy, you can do it year-round, not just for the new year. To learn more about all dairy's many health benefits, just visit floridamilk.com or lechedeflorida.com today. Okay, one more time. Riboflavin.
Bueno. Time to give our first soda
Our first sodas.
of 2024.
Yes. All right, do you want to go first?
I do want to go first, and my first soda is not good. It's
Is it a gasless soda?
no, it's in honor of somebody who passed away.
Oh,
But I thought it was very indicative of our show.
okay.
So this week, this week we lost Charles Osgood, who was the host of
saw
CBS
that.
Sunday Morning for like 30-some years.
I saw that.
And if listeners, Pero Primos, if you've
If you're
been
new-
listening
if you're
to
new.
us since season 1, and if you're new,
Right.
a refresher
Yes.
for our Pero Primos, and if you're new here, yeah, I watch CBS Sunday Morning. I'm obsessed with CBS Sunday Morning, and I reference it all the time.
He has a
Hence-
Jane Pauley fetish.
Hence, here is our first episode of 2024, and I'm already referencing it. And Charles Osgood was the host for like 30-some years. He was a host when I started watching. And he passed away this week. I think he was in his 90s. He had either Alzheimer's or dementia. He retired about 5-6 years ago.
That's when Jane Pauley came in.
That's when Jane Pauley came in. But you know what? I love Jane Pauley.
Yeah.
But I really liked him because he was like really old school, and you could tell that he was from like the Charles Kuralt like era.
Okay.
Walter Cronkite era.
Yeah,
like you could tell that he
yeah.
was like a remnant of that era.
Yeah.
And he was one of the last ones. So good. He lived a long life, and
Well, that's a nice last soda. I mean,
last soda
Yeah. for Charles Osgood.
of CBS Sunday Morning.
That's awesome.
Whatever, mind.
So my last soda is actually going to go to an organization. So we're just coming off of Christmas. I know nobody wants to hear about charities and things like that, but I know that during Christmas time, everybody's always like, "Oh, the toy drives and the
Toys for Tots.
Toys for Tots, send the Salvation
Who's
Army."
Tots?
And Tots, Tots is like little kids.
Oh.
Like tiny tots. That's why they're called tater tots, because they're little.
I never thought about it that way. Well, you are the same person that says, "I want a cup of Joe." Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
a nice
go ahead.
strong cup of Joe.
Yeah, with some tots.
So I'm going to bring attention to a charity that actually ensures that children get toys all year long. Because there's always children that are in need and in hospitals and things like that can have their day brightened. So It is the Toy Foundation. It's a program, but actually called the Toy Bank. And in its 20 years of operations, they've collected over $35 million worth of toys. And they work with several organizations to make sure that they get into like hospitals and like children's hospitals and things like that with, kids who are very sick. Maybe some of them are terminal. They deal with their wish lists. And so I just wanted to bring it up because I think people forget that there are children in need outside
in
of
April?
Yeah, exactly. Outside of, the Christmas season.
Yeah.
And there's always an opportunity for you to brighten a kid's day, something as simple as a little toy. So, the Toy Foundation, the Toy Bank.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Great organization, and I learned what a tot was.
And you learned what a tot, yeah. Don't you remember like in the Christmas song where like tiny tots with their eyes all aglow?
No.
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 Tot is that it's like short. It's like short for toddler.
Okay. Wouldn't it have been Todd? Not
Well,
Tot.
yeah, but Todd is a name, so like tots.
Right, because that really makes sense.
Right. Listen, I didn't make the rules.
That's one of those things silly stories that you make up.
I'm not making this up.
You know what I would totally have right now?
Tater tots?
No, una caja de pastelito de guayaba. I'm guava. Which, usually I'm between guava and cheese.
Yeah.
Pero guava.
I actually want like a hot fudge sundae right now.
The McDonald's.
From wherever. I don't care.
Okay, you know what? While we're,
before we wrap up.
So, okay. Listeners, I would love to hear your experience about this. Actually, yeah, listeners, let us know your experience about this. I can only speak to mine. I know that the running joke and running kind of gag is that McDonald's ice cream machines are broken. And I have no doubt that this is
the
true.
The McFlurry specifically.
Well, but it's the same machine.
No, but I'm saying, but people mention McFlurry.
So the whole thing is that McDonald's ice cream machines are broken. And I believe it because it's everywhere people complain about that. You know that I have never gone to a McDonald's and ordered an ice cream or a McFlurry, and I ordered the McFlurry and it's been broken. Like I've been very lucky. I don't know what none of that is about. And I order from the McDonald's ice cream, I order it enough that I would have encountered a broken machine by now. And dude, I've never had anybody tell me that the machine is broken. And I'm like,
I think I know why.
Am I that lucky?
I think I know
why.
why.
Because I've never come across. So listeners, tell us about your broken McDonald's machines.
I think the reason that you've never come across it is because that is the universe's way of balancing out for the fact that every time you like something on a menu, it disappears. So they're like, the least we can do is let the ice cream work.
You think so?
I mean, the universe works in mysterious ways.
I mean, I don't know. I think I would rather have the former because,
it's something you genuinely enjoy. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, all these items that just disappear off the menu.
Jimmy John's, my favorite, sandwich from Jimmy John's, the barbecue ranch. Oh, no, we're taking it off the menu. And I'm like, but of course you are. Of course you are. I'm just going to go to a place and be like, I hate this. So it could stay on forever. But yeah. No, I haven't come across broken McDonald's ice cream machines.
Yes. Well, speaking of things that people love, they love our wings, Pim Pam Pollo. And this weekend, we're going to be at the Brickell Arts Festival. It's down by the Miami River, by the Underline. So check us out, Pim Pam Pollo MIA. We have the listing of all of our upcoming pop-ups. We have a lot of pop-ups coming up in the next couple of weeks. But this weekend is actually going to be Saturday and Sunday. So you have zero excuses not to make it out there.
Yes. And we're going to have only wings.
Yes, only wings.
We're going to have our most popular wings.
Our traditional.
Only wings. So... And a little shout out to Dos Croquetas. Speaking of Dos Croqueta for letting us schlep in all of our stuff to do our season 7 shoot there. We always like to do our season, I guess, photo shoots or what if you want to call it that.
That's what they are.
What ends up being our logo and our content for the year. We always like to do it in like local places and like give a little shout out to them. So it's funny because you were like, I'm surprised we're season 7 that we hadn't done it at Do Croqueta before because we're, we know them.
We're there so much.
We've done,
we're there as customers,
but we've recorded. We've had like 3 shows there.
We even had our friend Christmas dinner there one year.
Yes. But no, but in terms of the show, we've had like 3 shows there.
Yeah.
Alec and Vicky have been on the show.
Yeah.
Several times actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, how have we not done this at Do Croqueta before? But here we are.
There we go.
So anyway, well, everybody, we hope you listened, laughed, and learned. And as always, remember to grab your croqueta, speaking of
Dos croquetas,
or dos croquetas, your croqueta, your pastelito, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us. That was our first show of
season
2024. We will be celebrating our 300th episode this year.
Wow, that's true.
So let's,
we'll figure something out.
Whatever we do, it will not be catered by Ping Pong Pollo, because if we have a 300 episode party,
no, I'm not working. I'm not working. No, I'm not working my own party.
I can't do podcast and Ping Pong Pollo.
That's too many peas.
Yeah. There's too many peas.
Too many peas.
When I'm pero, I can't be ping.
And then you can't party.
Anyway, everybody, have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us in season 7. We're so happy you're all here. Yes. And let's make it a great year, everybody.
Cuídense, mi gente. Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.